Hey, managers of the Super Conference. This is your commissioner, Tyler Burkhart here, with the Week 12 recap. I just finished a few budget meetings today. I didn't get home till about 10 or so I'm in my pajamas and ready to go to bed. But of course, we're going to talk fantasy before that because it is a huge priority, right? Anyway, so we'll go quickly here and kind of recap what happened for the week. Let's start with best manager of the week. I'm going to go with Adam Wirtz of Green Bay legend. The reason why, he put up the most points and got a huge critical win against Carson and Oakland Balos. But, he really made the moves he needed to make in order to compete. And it may hurt him a little bit next year with his draft choices, but, acquiring players like Michael Bush and sticking with Percy Harvin, I think really helped him solidify his chances here. So gotta commend him for going all in this year, and so far it's paid off, and he still has a chance. So in the coming week, it'll be interesting to see him battle Indianapolis and Oakland, who I really think are the three teams that have the chance at the last playoff. Cleveland has a huge outside shot, but with only 61 points last week, it'll be really difficult for him to get that last spot. Worst manager of the week. I know a lot of people are talking about Blackout playing the Giants defense against New Orleans. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a terrible play, and he deserves the loss because of it. But I'm going to give it to Mark Johnson of Portland. And the one thing I hate more than anything are managers that give up on their teams. And maybe this is a false accusation, I'm not sure. But I feel like Mark Johnson just gave up on his team. Sure, he's not going to make the playoffs. Could compete with a first-round pick. But, he played Denarius Moore when he was out. And I'm actually now starting to think that he did the trade with Minnesota, partly because he wanted to give up on his team and they didn't have a shot on doing it. So, Mark, I hope you really didn't do that. But for the sake of the league, I hope you try a little bit harder this last week and give a little bit more of an effort. Otherwise, I don't know what else to say. Just really disappointing to see a manager do something like that. Hopefully, it was more of just other things to do. So, most valuable player, hands down, Beanie Wells. Who else could it be? San Fran Frenzy only won by .04 points. And here Beanie Wells puts up about 27 fantasy points. To put this into perspective, that's .4 rushing yards that made the difference. So literally 1 yard made the difference here. And Beanie Wells ran for over 200 yards. So definitely made the difference. Most valuable player. Best matchup, Green Bay over Oakland. Once again, I already talked about it, two highest teams in that. Really too bad Oakland can't get a win there. I do feel, sad for them in one way for that. But, great week for Green Bay. Biggest upset, I actually don't even see an upset, even though, I predicted 2 games wrong. In my eyes, there really wasn't an upset at all, so I'm just going to leave that blank this week. Let's go to the rankings. We have a new number 1 team. It was a team I projected to be number 1 at the beginning of the season, and I'm going to put Minnesota Bryants as the new number 1 team of our standings. San Fran Frenzy just has too many injuries, and I lowered him down to 2. And I even thought about putting Kiln Legend, who's at 3, and Seattle, who's at 4, above him. His teams really, both Minnesota and San Fran are not the teams that were 2-3 weeks ago because of injuries. And once again, I'm going to say this is why it's important to get players that play on winning teams, because they're more likely to play later in the season and try to play through the injuries rather than sit out. I am going to go on record as well saying I think Seattle Sasquatches has the best shot on actually winning the playoffs. I think he's got the most well-rounded team and most dangerous team heading into the playoffs. He will stay at 4, though. I got Washington at 5. And like I said, I think Ray Rice will help Indianapolis get that final spot at 6. I have Green Bay moving up to 7, Cleveland moving down to 8, Oakland at 9, and San Diego at 10. And then I have Portland at 11, New York Blackout 12, San Antonio 13, Fargo 14, New York Yankees 15, and LA Seismic Quake 16. Everything stays the same from 10 to 16. And one of the reasons because of that is because the 11 through 16 teams all lost last week. So that was pretty self-explanatory and made things a lot easier. So let's head into the final week. And when I do these matchups, I try to think for week 13 what matchups will be interesting. And so I will tell you, I matched up all the teams I thought would be good against kind of the teams that I didn't think were so good. So that'll give you a sense of how I felt teams were at the beginning. And we have some great matchups because of it. I mean, kick it off. Minnesota Bryans versus Indianapolis Eyeball, I think is a great matchup. Minnesota can clinch that first round bye. Indianapolis can clinch a playoff. And both, I think, are going to have solid weeks. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. And then the other matchup I really like, which I actually think will be an upset, will be Oakland over San Fran. And arguably, that's not even an upset anymore, looking at San Fran's team. But I think Oakland could win this game, and I think it's going to come, possibly it could come down to points, because I think Green Bay and Oakland will both win this week. Meaning Indianapolis, if they don't win, they probably won't win the points tiebreaker. So it'll come down to whoever scores the more points between Green Bay and Oakland. So not only do they have to win, they have to put up a lot of points this week. So it'll be really exciting to see what happens. As far as prediction winner, Seattle, Washington, Green Bay, and Indy all at 6. So they'll get the points there. So this will be the last week. Remember, if you get in the consolation, please update your teams. Remember, that's the number one pick you're competing for. You have nothing to lose. Meanwhile, the other 6 teams that make the playoffs, I wish the best of luck to you. And that pretty much does it. I'm your Commissioner, Tyler Burkhart. Have a good night, and game on.